What is this, episode 13? Wow.
What's the actual name of the podcast?
Unlocking
the Cage.
Yeah. Unlocking the Cage is the book that I'm writing. Okay. And the documentary is the study, all that.
Yeah.
So I wanted something with Unlocking. I guess we call it Unlocking the Podcast. I wanted something where, it's just not MMA. I'm not over MMA.
I know what you mean, man.
But, my passion right now is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu.
Of course.
Yoga, family. But it's awesome. So this is Frank Barca, a black belt through 10th Planet under Eddie Bravo. We talked, I think it was a year ago, right? When was the last time you came out?
Exactly a year ago.
Okay, and it was kind of, I don't think you and I had ever talked. Like, we might have said hi or something like that. I don't think we had rolled, but we did an interview, and it ended up being, like, really cool. I just listened to it this morning. You guys can check it out on my YouTube page. But, yeah, man, I realized, I was like, you know what? And when we had that conversation, I got a lot from it. Like, as far as, because that's when I was deciding, okay, how much am I gonna? How do I raise my daughter in jiu-jitsu? What do I make sure that her coach is giving her? Do I want to introduce it to my son? All that kind of stuff. So talking to you about that helped a lot too. And because, can you go ahead and tell people a little bit about your background? I mean, I know it's long, but especially when you started martial arts.
Yep.
That it's been continuous.
Yes.
And what it gave you.
Well. I started in 1979. I was a 9-year-old boy. Started in freestyle karate, and then within that, because we were very in an eclectic martial art. It's freestyle karate, and we were raised on boxing, American kickboxing, and point fighting. Mm-hmm. So we were snipers from the get-go, and we were trained to. When we see these days, the Conor McGregor thing, and you see the Lyoto Machida type thing. That was the way we moved, and we had head movement. We also had that precision, pinpoint accuracy as well. So we had the best of every world. And within that, Muay Thai really came to apex popularity in Australia, and we started training in Muay Thai as well. So in the 20 years that I was in the freestyle karate movement, there was about a good solid, 10, 15 years of solid Muay Thai and American kickboxing.
Now, when you first started, so as a 9-year-old boy, had you been watching martial arts? Like, was it something your parents decided to send you to? Or did you already know, like, I want to do that?
No, my dad has always been, still is, a huge WWE fan, a wrestling fan, and a boxing fan. So, as a kid, we always had the TV running with boxing and wrestling. So, it was kind of natural for me. And, I was raised, in the 70s. I guess, and in a southern Italian household, so a click behind the ear was never. You know what? Never too far away.
I wonder.
So
I wonder about that too, because we were the same age, roughly. Yeah. Same time period, different country, but also like that's how you raised your kids.
Yeah, it was.
But do you think? Because you mentioned anger too. Like yeah, and that's one thing I loved about the conversation. Like it was super honest, and you were saying how it helped with that. Now, do you think?
Absolutely.
Do you think you already had some anger built up? I mean, maybe whether it was from who knows what the reason was?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, look. As a child in the 70s, there's just normal. I had 3 other, a sister, an older sister, an older brother, and a younger brother. So, and there's 4 of us kids, and we're just being kids, So, and things got to me. I mean, I didn't realize it back then, but I did have a bit of anxiety and stuff like that. Like, I didn't know what it was. Why I didn't. All of a sudden, one day, I didn't want to go to school, and I felt like nervous, and I was like, well, what is this? And my mum said, don't worry, just go, you'll be fine. And that's how we got raised. Just get out and get on with it, So. But I've got to tell you, I've also been a musician all my life too. Playing drums helped me enormously too, especially as a male, as a boy, because playing drums, doing martial arts, man, that was a great way for me. And I was a very energetic kid. I was one of those kids that you see, like right now, running around, swinging off trees, climbing monkey bars, playing tag, kicking the footy. More soccer for me. My parents had me in soccer, tennis, drums, martial arts. Well, that there could tell you what kind of a kid I was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it helped me enormously. Martial arts helped me enormously. And I was never really looking for it. I just heard that there was something going on down the local high school, so I just booked it down there. I wagged the drum lesson. Wagging is like missing, purposely not going to school.
Oh, okay.
What do you call that?
Hooky.
Hooky, yeah. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, and it was hilarious. And I went with my brother, and he was horrified, and I was super excited. So it's really weird. We're 18 months apart, both athletes, but he's a way better athlete than me. But we just got attracted to different things. It was so weird. But yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell how that happened. Of course, I went through to Aikido as well because we were always taught and trained in school gyms. You know, we didn't have these beautiful dojos we see today and these gyms and things. It was just a high school gym or something small, a carpeted area somewhere, and that's how it was. And then when I looked at more classical martial arts, so I could sort of get in touch with the Eastern side of martial arts, the philosophical side of things more than what just my our Australian instructors were. I mean, we'd like to think that our teachers know everything that we need to know. We'd like to think that our teachers have all the answers, but they don't. And especially then, and they didn't, and it wasn't their fault. And I don't hate them or didn't have any bad vibes towards them. I love them. They did the best they can. And let me tell you, man, I was so lucky and blessed to have the instructors I had. I've got to tell you that. They put me on the straight and narrow, straight up. So the role models I had around me back then, thank God, because in our system, not everyone was like that. There were some real dodgy people. Like in every martial art, there's dodgy people. But fortunately for me, I was lucky to have some great instructors. And when I found Aikido, it was like a classical dojo. I'd learnt about how it was all set up specifically, the hierarchy system, the senpai order of things, which is like the seniority, the chain of command. You know, compassion to the left, respect to the right, gratitude to the front. You know, and when you line up in classical martial arts, the way I got raised, anyone to your left was lower ranked than you. So you had to be compassionate to them, meaning that, you know, they're going to be a little stupid. They're going to say stupid things. They don't understand. They're going to goof. They're going to make mistakes. They're not going to bow when they walk on the mat. They're going to maybe try and bring a little bit of their habits into the school. And, you know, so the senpai or the senior's job and role was to be compassionate. Don't go run through them just because they forgot to move their shoes in the right spot. I mean, that's how it was. The Japanese culture in martial arts was, everything was perfect. Like, you had rules and you abided by those rules. You know? And I loved it because, you know, a real dojo with mats, oh my God, with pictures on the wall and weapons on the wall, and oh my God, this is a dream come true for me. So learning Aikido, and like all things, I didn't do anything for 3 months. I did everything for like 10 years. So I got my black belt in Aikido in like 2.5 years. Like I fast-tracked myself. That was me, you know. I just applied myself to whatever I wanted to do, and I did it to the fullest. And luckily enough, in most martial arts, you know, 2-3 years you can get your black belt. Like, it's no big deal. You know, not like jiu-jitsu. Right. You know, and that's why I love jiu-jitsu. That's another thing we're talking about. But so then I did that up to my mid-20s, and then I found Patrick McCarthy, Sensei Patrick, in KU, which is a short way of describing Koru Uchinari, which is old school Okinawan fight tactics. And I'm still a part of the organization, but my role now is a different role now. I've gone out to pursue a few other things that I wanted to do, and 10th Plan Jiu-Jitsu is that, and I'm here for my 10-year anniversary, so there's me backing up what I'm saying, is that I do things until I'm not planning on going anywhere, but I got my black belt last July. That was 9 years, you know, and it was long distance, having to make trips out. Here's my 13th trip in 10 years to train with Eddie, and only Eddie, and we talked a little bit about that in the van on the way.
Yeah, no, that was powerful.
So in a nutshell, I mean, I've pretty much covered all areas of striking, wrestling, and grappling to some significant levels, so that I could actually make a pretty good comment of value throughout all of that. So that's in a nutshell. I mean, we could be here for days. I don't want to just talk about what I've done because I know that can be boring. But yeah. But anyway, it's been an awesome. But it's been all functional stuff. I never was attracted to things that weren't going to be practical and functional for me, because I was a kind of practical, functional kid. So, you know, I never really fought in the ring too much, but we trained in the ring all the time, and we never had weight classes or anything like this. So, you know, getting in there and leaving with a headache and sore ribs and, you know, black and blue legs, and I've been sparring partners for some good guys back home too. Yeah. So, you know, and I was satisfied. You know, like, I didn't want to fight in the street. I never really had this desire to quench my thirst into getting into a real fight, because training was hard enough for me. I'm small, 5'3" or 164. I am, you know, especially through most of my life, I've been around 60 to 63 kilos at 5'4". Dude, I'm like one of the chicks. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's why, you know, I can really relate to the girls, and I'm a great example of them because for them, I guess, because hey, listen, I'm light and small too.
Yeah.
Hey, learn with me.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the right guy. You know, and you know what? I really loved it when some real high profile teachers have mentioned go find someone that's small to learn from. You know, because I think they would say, these are their words, by the way, so please don't twist my words out there, that they would say learn from someone small that has a high level, because they would have been through freaking everything. Like that forearm in the throat kind of thing we're talking about. Dude, that small guy would have gone through all that. Look at Eddie. I mean, look at Eddie. Look at Jean-Jacques with the limitations he has with his left hand, how that was the whole catalyst for that overhook game that we see in Eddie's game that is so important, the clinching game in no-gi jiu-jitsu, especially if you're thinking about, you know, being able to do well against people that are wanting to pepper you and dot you up with elbows and punches. And, you know, when I heard that from Eddie, imagine coming from all the striking that I'd done. Now I'm learning jiu-jitsu from a man that understands striking. Can I have 7 of those, please? That's how it was for me. So, you know, I had no interest in pursuing anything else other than what Eddie was doing.
Now, with jiu-jitsu, what was it like in the country? What was it like in Australia? And I mean, is it just all gi everywhere? Was it even popular? Were you able to find it? Like, and so, what drove you to 10th Planet?
Well, in my travels, in my journey as a martial artist, one thing that I desired tremendously was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And in '93, just like you, just like everybody else, we saw Royce Gracie do what he did, and I wanted to learn. I wanted to know what was involved in that martial art that we had missed, because we'd been pressure tested so many times standing up anyway. But when it comes to where there's no weight classes, look, if a guy doesn't know much and he's, you know, up to, you know, pretty heavy, I guess in our scale, up to 90 to 95 kilograms. Like Eddie said it best when I was studying Eddie. He said it best, like, what's the worst case scenario for him? He would say a 99 kilogram Russian gold medalist wrestler. Where do you think you're going to spend most of your time? It's going to be on your back. So I love that. So I was like, Jiu-Jitsu had that special power against bigger and stronger opponents that the striking arts could not do. Now, I know there's always a line against the highest level guys. Listen, I'm not going to do well against a high level guy that's got 50 pounds on me. It's not. But a guy that's got like pretty good skills, and I'm a black belt, damn, I'm backing myself every time. I'm having a shot at that. So I loved that idea. So finally, when I started looking at what Royce was doing, there was no one in our country that was experienced enough to really guide me the right direction. John Will was the #1 dude, and Peter Debeen was the #1 dude in Australia at the time. And John Will started going over to train with Higgin and Jean-Jacques in the late 80s. I think he became, in the late 80s, and then I think he got his black belt in late 90s. Like, I could be, look, I don't know. Look, it's his business, not mine, I guess. But I know it was around before the year 2000. I think he had already become a black belt. And, you know, I tried trying to seek out these people, and for whatever reason, it didn't really work out. And we'll leave it at that, in a positive way. And I've had nothing but awesome learning experiences training under people in my country. But if you just look at why I've had to seek it outside of my country, you can kind of have a bit of an insight into how I gravitated to no-gi. I'm a functional, practical dude. I love no-gi, but like most people that gravitated to no-gi, it was Wednesday night, and we were normally in a school of 30 people, and then I'd show up for no-gi, the lightest dude, and it'd be me and a 130 kilogram Samoan dude. No, I love Samoans and the Kiwi people because they're so big and strong. You remind me of those kind of guys too. But listen, I'm 5'3", and I'm like, you know. But what I did was I got more people to come. My whole, I become this recruiter of no-gi people, and I would just beg people, call them up. So you come in the class, please come in the class. I don't want Henry to be there again because he's going to lay on me with his left calf muscle and he's going to strangle me with it. No hands. Please help me out here. So, and I did that, but still I got a lot of resistance from my instructor, and in the end I thought, well, you know what, I heard about Eddie through him, and I thank him for that, and one thing that I do appreciate him for was exposing me to Eddie. So I thought, you know what, the opportunity came to go and train with Eddie, so I took it, and that's another whole story entirely. But in 2006, As a blue belt, I'm a Machado blue belt in the gi. I don't train in the gi. I haven't put a gi on to train in the gi jiu-jitsu for ever. So I went over to the States, found Eddie, and never looked back.
Now, so how many tent plants are there? Are there 2 now in Australia? And,
yes.
and what are the plans? I think that's awesome how one person, because you went and you did this, can bring it back to...
Well, the guy I went with, Josh was on, my top guy, Josh, I call him Tito, because that's his nickname, but affectionately known as Tito to me. But Josh is the moonhead or the affiliate head instructor at Tent Planet South Melbourne.
Okay.
And I sponsored him for his affiliation. So, he wanted me to help him prepare for it, so I put up my hand. I said, yes, I'd love to. And I did that, and we did very well. And we did it. We ticked all the boxes for Eddie, and he was wrapped. He was really happy with the result. And he runs Tent Planet South Melbourne, and I run Tent Planet Melbourne. So I was the first school in 2008 in Australia, no gi, pure no gi, Tent Planet Jiu-Jitsu, running my school in 2008, December 1st. But we had been preparing for this since 06. I got my blue belt in 08 under Eddie, my purple in 2009, my brown in 2012, and my black belt in 2015.
And there's probably, are there guys coming from all around to train with you too?
Yeah, absolutely. That happened from the very beginning. But look, I was only a blue belt when I opened, and a lot of people, man, you want to go and look at the forums. Jeez.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was tremendous.
Just the hate that a blue belt was doing it?
Yeah, but I always said, listen, I killed them with kindness every single time, because that's a weapon. And I used it, and I swung that every single opportunity I had. And you could imagine, I'm just a small dude, probably look a little weird, to most people. I was surrounded by jiu-jitsu black belts, but I always said, listen, man, what do you know about 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah.
What do we do first? What's our philosophy? What's our game plan? Oh, you don't know? Well, that makes you a white belt. And the way I look at it, I'm a blue belt, so wait in line.
Yeah.
And they just felt that they had the freedom, and they had the keyboard warriors, man. I wish I could just start listening to them, because I remember every single one of them. But anyway, let's just save that for another day. But let's keep it positive, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you, the people that were giving me crap, these people were probably sitting on keyboards, out of shape, not competing, not traveling, not training, not rolling. But I always said, hey, door's always open. We're at 190B Sussex Street, North Coburg. Come check us out. Would love to. And the people that did, we did very well, because I was teaching Tito everything. And not only Tito, we had a whole bunch of killers, but that have moved on, But while we were getting ready, people come, people go, and I don't, I struggled with that for a long time. But I realized that, hey, people come, people go. Some people, there's 3 types of people that I find as a teacher. Some people, they're going to be there for a short time. Some people are going to be for a long ass time. And some people are going to be there forever.
And can you also...
And I'm cool with that.
How about, you mentioned earlier about the types of people, or the reasons why people might train. Right. Can you kind of go over that again? I thought that makes a lot of sense, because I think everyone does train for a different reason.
Yeah, there are. One is self-defense. People want to learn how to defend themselves, and they go, oh, I can get fit, strong, explosive, flexible, dexterous, agile, and you guys are really cool, and I can learn about nutrition and cross-training, and because I bring all these things to the table. I'm a 2-time Australian Ironman triathlete as well. I trained 4 years under an Olympic coach who used to coach the athletics team in Barcelona. So, I had a knack to find the right people. You understand what I mean? So when someone comes to my school and they want to know how to, listen, I want to work on my strength. I'm like, you come to the right place. Listen, everyone's really eating clean, and you come to the right place. Oh, what about cutting weight? Oh, you come to the right place. Oh, listen, I was thinking about striking. Oh, you come to the right place. Like, I loved that, because I really felt that all the things that I did was not for nothing. Wasn't. It all was to get me to where I am right now. And I talk about this in all of my black belts that I've ever achieved outside of my jiu-jitsu black belt, is that I had to lean on every fiber of those black belts to be able to give me the toughness and the mental strength and the thick skin to overcome adversity at every turn. And I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
Go look at the forums. Go look at the forums.
I never even considered that.
Yeah.
You guys striking in mixed martial arts in your gym? Absolutely,
because I come from Koru Chinati, or old school Okinawan fight tactics, is it's a traditional contemporary art Does that make any sense? Meaning that, yes, it's classical. Like we wore the dogi, we had a curriculum, we spoke Japanese, it was structured, we had basic practices, we had drills to facilitate the development of those tools, we had two-man practices, drills. What do you think we gravitated to these drills? Tito and I shot DVDs from my master a couple of times.
Okay.
Like we know, we've got a lot of experience in knowing how something was to be presented. So I'm not surprised that Eddie kind of asked a favor to us and say, hey Frank, you want to shoot those warm-ups? And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because it was I had a little bit more experience in it, I guess, than most, and we knew about lighting, we knew about sound, we knew about angles. So KU that's what I mean by preparing us for this, because KU was like an MMA style in a traditional setting. So we had like all the striking, the pressure points, strangulations, throws, grappling, groundwork, separating tendon from bone, twisting bones, groundwork, counters. We had all of that stuff going in a classical setting. So that's what I mean by use the word contemporary, because not a lot of striking arts. We were karate style, but we had grappling, groundwork, counters, escapes, because of the self-defense element. So bringing back to the original thing, why do people train? 1, self-defense. 2, a way of life skills. 3, an interesting alternative to Western exercise. So hey, I didn't gravitate to football or over here ice hockey or basketball or soccer for us, I guess, or swimming and
lifting weights,
right? Like they never kind of fit in, they never gelled. They like the team thing, but they like the individual thing as well. And so martial arts is a great thing for that. It can also be a business. Like, I'm running a business. I've run a successful martial arts school for forever, through all of my transitions through the martial arts, through freestyle karate, and then into KU, and now into jiu-jitsu. So there's a handful of reasons right there. So you've got self-defense, you've got an interesting alternative to Western exercise, you've got a way of life, you've got what about this? A fulfilling competitive activity.
Yeah.
How about that? A sport.
Yeah.
Jeez, I can't believe I left that to last. And of course, a business, and that's, and you can draw from all of those. Like at first, you're not joining martial arts school going, oh yeah, I'm gonna have a chance to run a business one day. It never works out like that. You just want to go in there and maybe tick one of those boxes first. But if you put enough time into anything, and you learn anything, and you learn about the growth, direction, evolution of that thing, like you go deep. You're a researcher. You're on the fire. You want to be on the forefront of evolution. Like me, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what Gary Toner's doing, Eddie Cummings is doing. I want to know, and who's at the forefront of that? Eddie Bravo, my teacher. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, huh? So that, and I've always had, and you know what? All of my instructors, all of them have had this incredible researcher's mentality. I got raised under a microscope, and I'm so grateful. Thank God. Shit, I could have really blown it.
That's awesome.
It's exciting. It really is. I just feel like I'm getting started, and it's been 37 years deep.
All right, so the chapter I'm working on right now is for Unlocking the Cage is I met with a Brown professor who told me that I needed to take a look at the next closest group, because I felt like I was starting to understand fighters. I had interviewed over 300, 350.
Yeah, I know. God, you've been busy.
So I felt good about that. He's like, okay, well, how about the next closest group? And he wanted me to look at wrestlers, but I was like, well, I'm interested in jiu-jitsu. So I was like, and so everyone I roll with, I asked them, I'm like, okay, do you compete? Do you want to fight? Did you ever want to fight? So I'm trying to see, like, okay, what's the difference between the guys that want to go ahead and compete? Is it simply, I think Eddie said, like, dude, some guys just don't want to get hit in the face. Yeah. Like, is it that, or what kind of people do you think are drawn more to striking, and kind of how, what kind of attitude do you want in your ideal gym? And maybe you have that now. Maybe
pugilism or box or striking has been described as the most basic way of self-protection, and the most easiest and pretty effective instantly. Close your fist, throw it like a projectile, hit something near the central control point, your head, and you get a brainstem twist, center vibration to that spinal cord, and the guy goes down, stumbles back, or falls over. I mean,
Yeah.
or you want to amplify that, pick up a stick, a bone, whack someone in the head. It's pretty much the least, I hate to use the word technical because we know striking is super technical these days, but just keeping it as some basic thing, as real simple terms, that it's the most, I guess, unscientific way of self-protection.
Right.
And some people might be mad at hearing that, but it is.
I totally
And that's why I gravitated to jiu-jitsu, because I was like, if I had to square up with a 95 kilogram 8-month exponent of Muay Thai at 5'3" at 63 kilos, dude, he only has to shin kick me in the shoulder or in the forearm 3 times. Dude, I'm backing up. I'm not wanting to go in there. But in jiu-jitsu, close the distance, take him down. We go think, oh, well, you got to be able to take him down. Well, we've got a strong wrestling component for that. Like jiu-jitsu, a lot of people think jiu-jitsu, they go, but do you wrestle? Not us. Like, Eddie, listen, man, I'm talking from my experience. If your experience doesn't have no gi, if your experience doesn't cater for punches and elbows, if you're in jiu-jitsu, if your experience doesn't have wrestling in it, sorry, man, I apologize. That's your problem.
Yeah.
But hey, that's where you got to do your research.
Right. No,
Don't just go with the crowd. Listen, have your own mind. Martial arts taught me to have my own mind. What happened? Well, you're in a form of martial arts for 20-something years, and you're a black belt and you're unfulfilled. You know how many people I bump into in my travels, I'm sure you have too, that have this little streak of unfulfilled, like empty boxes not ticked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, I never ever wanted that to happen, and my boxes are all ticked, man. I'm like scraping. You know when you fill in, you do a really crappy letter when you're writing something, and you go over it a few times, and you do the, you and then you see this word that's like bold, and there's no way in the world I was going to go and risk my health, sanity, my time away from the things that I love, my own country, if I didn't think I was in the right place. Shit.
What do you think is the difference between people that are able to do that and are fulfilled and go after it and go after their dreams?
Courage.
Is that what it is, you think?
You know how it takes courage. It takes faith, but it takes preparation. Like the more prepared you are, the better you do in anything. I don't care if it's a maths test for your kids. I don't care if it's a grading in classical judo. I don't care if it's swordsmanship. I don't care if it's cooking. Look at the best people that perform the best. It's the ones that are doing it unconsciously. I have one of my students who is a cellist, and he's like a world-class, he's like a third-year university level music graduate, and he's performed in front of some of the most prolific people ever in music. And he says that it's all about preparation. It's all about failing. It's all about failing. Do it so much that you get so good, so unconsciously, because you're so done with it, right? That you just go out there like the warm-ups. Like, you guys trained with us. You saw Josh and I doing the warm-ups. We've been doing the warm-ups in front of Eddie daily for the class, and it's a privilege and an honor to do it. And I didn't expect it. I went there to learn off my teacher, my master, and we're Tito and I are on the YouTube channel, I guess, of the warm-ups for the version 3. And all the new tweaks and updates and all the leg lock transitions and all the escapes and all those things. And the only reason why we just do it, look, a lot of people think that Tito and I have been practicing those warm-ups like last week, like 2 weeks ago before we came. We finished shooting the warm-ups and released them late February, early March. That's the last time Tito and I did the warm-ups together. And it's, what are we, in May? And we've been here for 2 weeks. So March, April, so 8 weeks ago, me and Tito got our hands on each other because he's got his own school. We don't train. Oh, okay. We just roll. We roll. We don't do, we practice our warm-ups in our schools and whatnot. But we've done so much drilling. This is the point. Sorry, it takes a while to get to it, but it's important. Whoever's listening to this is going to get a lot out of it if I break it down enough in those key questions that you're asking me. So I'm trying to go deep in here. And what you saw, or what you guys saw us do, and you described it yourself, and these are your words, that on point, fluid, like
yeah, oh no,
tight,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you know why that happened? Well, we didn't have a chance to think. If I have to think under Eddie, Eddie's standing like a meter away, looking over us like he's got a microscope. The school is full of people that are from black belt to, that I respect and train with, and they've got their own amazing qualities too. And here I am with Tito performing these warm-ups. It's only by and large due to the fact that we were so prepared.
That's awesome.
So that's my answer.
Now you'll see my daughter performing those soon. She's going to go to headquarters with me, I think, next week. But they work them. So the youth, all the little kids.
Everyone in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're wearing a gi, a scarf, a beanie. I don't care what you're wearing. Eddie has made this available to everyone, and giving is getting. Put it out there. Some people are going to look at it and go, oh my God, just from the first looking at it. I've seen Eddie go through this process of developing these warm-ups since 2010, 2011. Starting to put these little come on, Mark, you've been around too. Putting them together, and it's just morphed into what we see today. And you know how glad, we used to have people whinging and complaining about tweaks. Oh, he's changing it again. And they would just lose it. And I'd be like,
why wouldn't you
bring it on? You know why? In my brain, I was categorizing, and I was organizing, and I was keeping it all. When he was doing that specific tweak with that idea, like he had a Marcelo circuit in there. When you would go capoeira, 3/4 mount, and then you'd go M3, where you flip the left leg over and you would knee slice to the weak side. Like we extracted that. Like that was in and now it was out. And I was like, thank you. I took that, I cut and pasted it in my own little file for later. And I would make that as one of our techniques of the night, tech of the night drills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, although Eddie moves things around, and we still have part of that Marcelo circuit. Anyway, in our E series, when you open the guard, you go capoeira, then you go 3/4 mount, then they go quarter force, quarter shell, dogfight, and half, and do that, which is classic E2 in our warm-ups. How do I know that verbatim? Because we freaking prepared. We're prepared, and I studied for this. Those warm-ups meant everything to me. This project was a risk because the world was going to be looking at our technique. And our camera angles, and we put a lot of work into those warm-ups. It wasn't just we'll just put some things on tape. And no, how I was going to present this meant a lot. So back to that, preparation breeds the result. And you want to perform. You want to practice the way you want to perform. Like, if you're going to compete, you make sure you're pushing yourself. You're training hard. 2 a days. You're the most technical. You're competing at every turn. You're going into state. It doesn't matter what. You're going to put yourself out there. You're going to roll with everyone. Well, guess what? Those guys are going to progress the quickest. Not to say that's the only way to do it, but it is the fastest track. Look at what Eddie's doing with his boys. Look at those purple belts training under 3 years or whatnot. Those guys are animals. And I don't say that in a abusive way. I say that in the most technical, most athletic, most scientific way. So just to answer your previous question about the striking mentality, jiu-jitsu mentality, if boxing, I've heard it so eloquently put. If boxing is the sweet science, then jiu-jitsu is the quantum physics of self-protection in my mind. Because look, in striking, in Muay Thai you have your 8 weapons. There's only 8. In boxing, there's only really 4. You jab, you cross, you uppercut, you hook, and of course some ring craft, some clinching, head movement, and you develop all of those to the highest levels. In jiu-jitsu, God, okay, you want to pick a number? How many transitions there are in jiu-jitsu? Okay, if we want to just keep this simple, let's say hundreds. Okay. What about, let's talk about the moments in jiu-jitsu. The when, not the how, because first when you join jiu-jitsu, it's the how. How do I do an armbar? How do I escape the mount? How do I hip escape? How do I get the underhook? How do I snap the front headlock? How do I get the ankle pick? But after you learn how, it's the when. How do I set that puppy up? So I know I'm gonna get in that single collar tie with the inside control for the stand. I'm gonna pull him around so he bases on that left foot. When he does, boom, I'm on that single like a ninja. And now the when. Well, you can spend your whole life developing the when. So that's the science to me. There's so much, and every day there's more and more and more. Jiu-jitsu, man. No gi.
No.
There's way easier ways. Oh my God, there's way easier ways. Put that knee shield in and not go underneath and play the Kimura game and there's way easier ways to fight, but learning how to do jiu-jitsu, get under Eddie's tutelage and guidance, going underneath and getting forearms in the neck, dude, it's preparation, right?
And
Deal with it.
And that's what for people that are watching, like I used to have some buddies come over. And they would just come over to the house and we put on the warm-ups late at night, 10 o'clock at night, and we would just drill them.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes, like the previous ones, sometimes it was a little bit hard to see everything. But I told them, I was like, look, that's pretty much all I'm doing. Like, we do that when we go to class. You know, I don't train that hard, but I was like, if I just keep doing that, I was like, I'm gonna know a good amount of stuff. And I've got to see, like Eddie always explains the tweaks. Like in class, like he's like, yeah, I was like, well, we're gonna do this now because of this. I was like, it always makes so much sense. So why wouldn't you be doing it? Why wouldn't you be repping it? Hear your opinion. What should jiu-jitsu be for kids? How should parents help their kids have the best experience?
Jiu-jitsu for kids should be fun. Jiu-jitsu for kids should quench their curiosity. Jiu-jitsu for kids should be an excellent introduction to health, exercise, strength training. It should be a great vehicle to help teach them about what's ahead for them as far as the resistance in life, like bullying, overbearing people, having to be social, having good communication skills. Also, tapping into because children, they're young, they're the closest thing to, I guess, the stars, because they're coming from somewhere, I don't know, however your philosophy is on life, right? And, you know, I don't want to get into that here, right? But for me, it's like a child is the closest thing to wherever we're from, wherever we're going next. So they have a very hyper sensitivity, in my experience. So me being one of those role models so early in their development, and to have such a great vehicle to enhance and to start developing and nurturing these fine valuable qualities in them as a martial arts teacher is like the highest privilege for me. And to see them, you build their confidence and their self-esteem and their self-value. I always have this thing that I really don't care what anyone thinks of me. What I think of me is my utmost importance, and that takes work.
Yeah.
And if I can build an ethic in the child through martial arts, man, I'm all for it. And look, my own son was bullied, unbeknownst to us, because there are, like you said, what's the disadvantages? Well, they're not afraid of close proximity and hands-on type activity and a bit of pressure. That's very necessary, because we all know as men in this world that resistance, against the grain, opinions, and on and on and on. You can't just go AK-47 on everybody that doesn't agree with you. You got to be patient. You have to understand how to be argumentative, but in a positive way. You have to express yourself in a positive manner. You have to be able to influence. If you want to influence their opinions on things, you have to have strategy. You know, and in striking, it was all just run through people, and that got me nowhere. But in jiu-jitsu, I learned how to jiu-jitsu people in day-to-day life, and, you know, going with the flow, and over, under, around, or through mentality. You have to, you know, it's like passing. You know, that's a real, like, passing to me was, I know we're digressing a little bit, passing to me was the ultimate life lesson, because I had to have 3 or 4 in the chamber at every turn. If I couldn't go under, I had to go over. If I couldn't go over, I had to go around. If I couldn't go around, I had to go through. And what that morphs into is one pass. You have to go over, around, under, through, all at the same time. If you're passing a high-level black belt, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I don't even know why I got into that, but developing, having the privilege to work with children has to be fun. Has to be fun, and it has to. You have to make them fall in love with it, and be the example. Be the example. But you know, things still fall through the cracks. Like my son got bullied and whatnot. But I'll tell you right now, if it wasn't for his martial arts, he would have been way worse off, because he had to put his hands on some kids. I taught him first just a power double, just wrap the legs up, drive forward, mount them, skydive, and just put your arms wide and just put your chest on their face. And most kids will get claustrophobic, start panicking, get off me, and then you just get off them and, you know, don't do that again, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, and then sure enough, I'm in the principal's office and listen, you know, I'm like, listen, because my son got raised by us, like kicking, striking, wrestling, grappling. So when kids were being hands-on, he was like, oh, friends. And then when they started throwing rocks and hitting him with sticks and ended up in the medical area, I was like, oh, what was going on here? And then Andre, being the very sensitive and happy and loving kid that he was, now they were just raising the level. Now the grade 5s and were getting in on him, and he was only in year 3, and he never said nothing to us.
That sucks.
And that's another story. But it's still, look, and I'm not embarrassed to mention that even my own son was bullied, and even that didn't fail, but I felt that it built enough confidence in him that he wanted to kind of sort it out for himself, even at such a young age. So who's to say that we did the right thing or the wrong thing?
Right.
And it still happens. But as a teacher of children, you know, I don't believe in, this is just me, and I might get shut down for this, but I teach the classes. I'm involved in it.
Because you enjoy it?
Look, it's tough. And I get assistance now, but the basics and the simple things, I get my students to go in there and help me with that, and I'll work with the more experienced kids. And what that does, that has a lot of advantages because the kids see it. Oh, I want Sensei to teach me. When am I going to be able to get taught by Sensei? So what I'll do is every time I would walk around, and at least once I would go and look in on them, and I'll test them. All right, let's have a look. Okay, full mount. Let's see that oompa. Let's go. I'll call it out. 1, boom. Come on, Jimmy, get that knee going. And then I'll just do that for 2 minutes and walk away, and that's enough to make them want to keep pushing, and then working with my assistant instructors. And a lot of people go, you're crazy to do that. You're teaching kids classes, teenage classes, and adult classes. Yeah.
But if it's what you love, I mean, is it?
I don't know.
Is it work? Me. Do you feel like being at the gym all day? Do you feel like that's work, or do you feel like, are you happy to be there?
Of course it is, but my mother always taught me, you find something you love, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And here I am in LA. Okay, I'm in this gorgeous environment with 2 great friends that respect me and have nothing but good things for me, and this is reciprocated,
right?
Or else you wouldn't even give me the time.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, we're flying out tonight. We've had a hurricane whirlwind 2 weeks here, training our butts off. You've seen how we train every day, never missing a class, except Tuesday night was the first time I missed a class because Joey Diaz, Uncle Joey, invited me
that's worth it.
to his live TV show being filmed.
Nice.
And I said to Eddie, this is the first time in 10 years I'm going to miss one class. He goes, well, going to see Joey Diaz is like coming here anyway. So, but if it was someone else or somewhere else, I'd be mad, and I'd go, I wouldn't go somewhere else. Only Uncle Joey could pull me out of the dojo, you know what I mean? Oh, man. So, you tell me. I mean, am I working? You know?
Now.
Yeah, but look, do you still get tired? Yes. Do you, you teach yoga, look at you. You love teaching yoga and traveling, and do you get tired? Yes, you get tired. Do you get tired? Yeah, look at you stretching your back sore. Yeah, we train. We're students of the game. That's another thing. Student mentality, maintain it. The problem I see with a lot of teachers is that they come to teacher and they don't feel like they need to drill or roll anymore. And then they go and take a training trip and they look like a green belt. And I say that respectfully.
Right.
But as long as I am physically able, thank God that after 45 years of life and all the things that I've put myself through, my poor spine, but there's a reason why I'm still able to do it, and that's another question, I guess, and we can go down that road another time. But I do a lot of things to stay in shape, mentally, physically, spiritually, to keep doing these things. I'm a huge advocate of transcendental meditation, yoga, diet, nutrition, all that stuff. Healthy practices, healthy attitude. Having the right frame of mind going into your training is massive. They've done tests on like water. Those water tests they've done. Like this doctor in Japan is able to play like death metal with satanic verses, and the water takes on a specific molecular structure. And then you look at someone, they're meditating next to the water, and it takes this structure. Someone singing something operatic, and it would take on a certain structure. Someone yelling at a kid would have a different structure. So as we're a good percentage of our body is water, and we used to know that percentage, but now people throw around all sorts of percentages I don't even know anymore. But we know that your frame of mind, how you frame it, framing your mind, think about that for a second. That's a powerful description or an adjective of how your mind is going to be set for an hour or 2 hours. Look at your yoga, Anthony. Look at your mindset. What do you start with? You center yourself, you take a few breaths, you sit quietly, and then you start bringing yourself into practice. You do your warm up, and then you drop in. And then for that next 40 minutes, your chaturangas, you're crushing, you're working your planks, your holds, your most difficult poses, and then you go into your inversions to start mixing the body weight, extracting all of those toxins and dumping them into the lymphatic system. And listen, man, I've only done yoga for 4 or 5 years, so and it's only been once a week under a teacher. Like I said, I've been lucky to attract. Is it luck?
The right teachers.
I don't know. I don't know if it's frequency. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
I know I've talked a lot about a lot of things when you asked me about the child thing, but teaching children and whatnot, if it's good for them, what do you think?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think it's incredible as long as it's
soccer doesn't give you that.
No.
I'm sorry. I mean, I love soccer. I played soccer for 10, 11 years.
No.
It never gave you that.
And not even.
I have one question.
Sure.
You've done a lot of martial arts. You played sports. What does jiu-jitsu bring or offer that's different than any karate, soccer, football, everything? What does jiu-jitsu do different?
The self-defense elements of martial arts. Because see, everything else, other than self-defense, it's a workout.
Mm.
But you put in self-defense, it's another philosophy here. Hey, listen, I'm going to arm you with nuclear warheads, but you're not allowed to use it. And if you use it, it's last resort. War's not even last resort, really. Look at what's going on. Anyway, I don't want to go into that story, but I'm just giving a bit of so we can reach out and get people who are watching this to, even they're not martial artists, to get a perspective on what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I even forgot what I was saying for a second. We're talking about the difference. Yeah. Okay. So the idea that we have to defend ourselves. Now there's pressure. Now, if you're in a sport and you're a backman, you're working in soccer. Let's say you're a defender. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about someone kicking you in the face and punching you in the face and biting you in the face and getting you on the ground and wrestling with you. You just got to worry about them passing you with the ball. How's that the same? Then someone's going to wreck you. So, and usually if something goes down on a soccer or on a football field, you only get a couple of scrappers and everybody else is glad that everyone else is there. Because usually, you know the simple story. 3 people are in a group and they approach one guy, and those other 2 people really don't even want to be there because there's that loudmouth that you want to you want to Junior Dos Santos him, and Vitor Belfort him spinning heel kick all day. But you got these other 2 goons. Now here's the thing, I like those scenarios as a martial artist because I know 2 of them don't really want to be there. So if you can just whack the guy on the wing and run, you're going to drop him, the main dude's going to chase you, and the other guy's going to go pick up his teeth. So that's how you deal with the 3-man scenario because 2 of them don't really want to be there, or 5 or whatever. Mm. Hit and run, that's the best strategy. And I know that I'm going to get one-on-one time with that dude, with the mouth, and that's fine with me. So what's the difference? You learn strategies, life strategy. And how about this? Well, I don't want to do karate, I'm tough. Yeah, but you might get in a scenario where you are out of position. You might be on the ground if you're a striker. Or if you're a ground fighter, you may be, it's all start standing. So where are you going to get those strategies? You're going to get them in a martial arts setting. You got to know how to deal with all of those different scenarios where you're out of your element. You're a striker in the back line. Or how about this? You're a midfielder that's playing goalkeeper. You're not going to do so well. But if you are practicing being a goalkeeper, just in case, or you're going to be practicing being a striker when you're a goalkeeper, just in case, you're going to do so much better. So I think that martial arts has a lot more to offer than just the standard sporting events. And sporting events aren't there. Sporting activity is not there for you to protect yourself either. But you know what else is the life strategies that you get in martial arts. And I know when people at the highest level are in a meditative state, yes. But if we're talking about just general activities for, like kids and during your life to work out, stay in shape, we're not talking about the highest levels yet, are we? We're just talking about generally. And for those few that have wanted to go out there and take it to the highest levels, well then you have to be a maniac. You have to be an assassin. You have to walk the earth with nothing but that in your mind. Eat, sleep, breathe, repeat. If you're not doing that, you're not going to reach the highest levels because that is what it takes. That is what it takes. Look at the Denny Prokopuses in the world. Look at the Gios and the Boogies. Look at the Eddie Bravos. Look at those guys that are, and all those people that are competing at the highest levels. Well, it's 3 a day. Well, you're going to just rock up on Tuesday night and you're going to eat Dunkin' Donuts and you're going to have no diet What I mean by that is, it's not geared towards performance. You're not supplementing your nutrition. You're not supplementing your training. You're not resting. You're not getting cryotherapy. You're not floating. You're not putting living things in your body, like healthy food that grows in the ground or on a tree, and drinking water and hydration. And these are the things I've learned to appreciate. It's never an easy answer. I really apologize. I hope I haven't lost, 3/4 of our freaking viewers. But man, you're asking me. This is my chance.
Yeah, no,
this is my chance to answer the question, and I'm gonna think about it before I answer.
Yeah, I don't want a quick one-word answer. I mean, no, this is perfect.
We're going deep here.
Yeah, this is good.
Just like, what's the level of jiu-jitsu like in Australia as compared to the States? Look, there's killers everywhere because people can do what they want.
Right.
We see Australians going to the worlds in the gi. I've got friends of mine that are multiple world champions at blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt, train with them regularly. They're crazy beasts. You put them in any dojo in the world, because I've trained in a lot of them, not all of them around the world, but I've trained in a lot of different schools. And I've trained at Eddie's, and Eddie's got to look at, okay, you decide for yourself what kind of school that is.
Right.
And everyone does well. So it's not bound by anything. I think it's just perceived by individual perception of what they do and how long they're in it and how manic they are.
Now, did you always kind of have that, or was that something that developed later? Did yoga kind of help you with that, or? Because I mean, maybe, and is it getting older? Like, so do you feel like you've grown much in the last?
Oh, are you kidding? Since I've been, look, it's funny. I took on TM, and within 6 months, I hired a yoga teacher to come into my school on Saturdays afternoons, just so we could stretch out after a long week of hard rolling and training. And I wanted my kids to do it. They were doing it at school because they went to school, the Maharishi School of Enlightenment, consciousness-based learning. They meditated 2 times a day and did yoga 2 times a day as their school. Elementary school.
That's awesome. Wow.
So I'm thinking it's good enough for them. And I always wanted to do yoga. Oh my God, Eddie forever, go do yoga. So and when when's flexibility been not a great asset of value in anything? Jesus.
We've been having such a hard time with that. I mean, because I've only been doing it, with you, maybe a year?
Solid year.
Like probably a solid year and a little bit before that. But
you did that 30-day thing, didn't you?
Yeah.
90, whatever it was.
Yeah. It was supposed to be 90, but then it was. I ended up getting. It was 108, but I ended up getting 60, and my back went out. But it was awesome though.
108 is a prolific number in Chinese, in the martial arts. If you study classical martial arts, the number 108, going back to Shaolin Temple and all that, is a really prolific number.
But yeah, so I think I started because I wanted to get better at jiu-jitsu. I just torn my ACL. But I thought I was mainly to get better at a martial art. And now I'm like, okay, I see all the benefits of it. I love it. I think it's awesome for everybody. But it's amazing. Like we get a lot of guys that they can't even do it. They can't try it. Like they might be a fighter. They might be whatever. Or they're like yoga. No.
It's like yoga appeals more to the martial artist rather than the fighter. You understand what I mean?
And that's perfect, because I do want to ask you that. Difference between a martial artist and a fighter. Can you be a fighter, but you're not a martial artist?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, look, I think it all depends on the teacher, the deliverer. That if they put focus on structure, that's more of a martial arts perspective.
Okay.
Look, what Eddie's doing, he to me is just up there with any martial arts sensei that I've ever learned from.
Right.
He's probably one of the best. He's probably the best. He's probably the best because he gets down every night.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the thing that a lot of them didn't.
Yeah, even for me,
most of them did. Thank God, I was surrounded by those awesome guys. But I'm saying most of them, meaning not my instructors. All my instructors always got down, but not everybody's, and that's what I mean by that. But look, I think I don't respect them less, but you look at the guys that come through as martial artists. I mean, look at GSP for instance.
Right. So what makes them a martial artist? Machida.
They have a thing about them, don't they? They have this aura about them, this energy that's a little bit different to just I don't want to even mention any names, but I'm just trying to keep it positive. But
right.
But we know there's a lot of guys out there that are pure fighters, and those guys don't have a support system. My mother was telling me that a tomato plant always grows best when you put a stake behind it. because it keeps it on the straight and narrow. But if you let a tomato plant just go without a support system, a structure, some kind of discipline, it's going to run wild. And we see that. The Chris Liebens and all those kind of, I hate to mention that because I think he's a great example. Because, you know, and you always hear about them really wanting to change their lives. You know, addiction. I think these things happen way less when they come from, I'm not saying they don't happen, because we know, you know, martial artists have committed suicide too. You know, darkness comes in all shapes and forms. But generally speaking, if it wasn't for martial arts, like I told you, I had to lean on every fiber of those 18. Look, I don't really want to throw numbers around, but in the 37 years that I've trained under the most amazing and talented instructors. They've pushed me every single day. And my black belt tests, I've done 18 of them. Right. You know? And I've had to lean on every fiber of those belts to get me here. And it's martial arts. I've trained with people that just wanted to teach me how to fight. I had the biggest problems, man. And those people have still got the biggest problems. And those people have ripped people off. And those people have, I'm not generalizing, but in my experience, the guys that have stuck more to the art, the philosophy, you know, the meditation, the yoga, because it's all tied in. I have found to still have those lasting relationships with them. But the ones that have just been in it for fighting, they're long gone, they're out of shape, they ain't doing shit, they're doing nothing.
That's what I've seen with fighters too.
That's my experience. I could be way off, but in my experience,
no, I think exactly you're right on, because I realized that
it's an advantage.
Yeah, I realized I wasn't a martial artist when I was trying to fight. I wasn't a martial artist. I was never a martial artist. And even when I started up again, still was a martial. I mean, I don't even want to call myself a martial artist now, but that's what I want. I'm actually looking at jiu-jitsu as an art. I do want to learn it. Like, maybe I'm not applying that much time to it as I could, but I'm way more of a martial artist now than I ever was before. Then when I was actually stepping into a cage.
I love that, because people, like, you're not the first person to ask me something like this. And I always had it, when they say, "Well, describe yourself," I go, "I'm a lifelong dedicated martial artist. I'm not a fighter." You know what? I haven't even fought in a ring. I haven't even fought in a cage. I rarely had to really, you know, put my hands on anyone in real life. Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, the nature of growing up and surrounding yourself with, and I've seen some things that I've seen fighting in the most unnecessary situations. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And by martial artists, but I think that the lines got blurred somewhere in there by the people that they were hanging around with, the environment, my environment. I pride myself of when I walk into Eddie's dojo, I call it a dojo. People call it a gym. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. In my school, I don't expect people to bow, but they do. I do. You know, one time I was really butthurt about, I'd lost a couple of blue belts, and I was like, you know, blue belt itis, I call it, you know, the blue belt phenomenon. You know,
were they just dropped out, or they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They get the blues, and they get opinionated, and then they get sometimes they can, you know, they just go about it the wrong way because they're so inexperienced. But yet, they feel they're so prepared. So you do this. So even though you can do all the right things, unfortunately, people are gonna get the blues. That's what I call it, the blues, right?
I think that's what we got.
And that's okay, because hey, don't forget what you asked me. Some people are going to be in it for a short time. Some people are going to be in it for a long time, and some people are going to be in it forever. I had one of my top guys that was my original teacher that became my student that literally threw the dojo keys at me after 30 years.
He was done.
He was like, he just couldn't hang because the evolution and the changes, and I just kept going and pushing, and then I got into MMA commentary because people thought I had something to say that was helpful. It was just too much for him. It was like, forget it, I can't hang anymore. And he blamed me, and he screamed at me and yelled at me. So that happens. You can do, and this guy was a multiple black belt, you know, and that happens. But Eddie's, back to the point, is that Eddie put it so well. He said, Frank, anytime someone leaves my school, I'm happy, because the universe has shown him how good the guys that are still there are.
Yeah.
Because see, without the crap in your life, how do you appreciate glory? Those glorious moments, if you don't know what glorious moments feel like.
Right.
Why is it a gold medal so important to people? Or winning the lottery? because it separates you from everybody else. Like you have to have it's a filtering system. A douchebag filter, as Eddie likes to talk about, and Joe Rogan speaks about. It's a douchebag filter. So, how would I appreciate you, Mark, and you, Anthony, and how would you appreciate me? I guess because it's reciprocated. If I was a dick, a total dick, well then you'd appreciate those conversations with a guy that wasn't. But without them, you need them. And when they walk, I smile now. I'm going that, and the reason that people walk are the reasons they should stay, Anthony. The reasons they should stay, it's just all ego. It's all, they're not wanting to change. I've had to change my life in jiu-jitsu alone 4 times to get my blue belt. That's all I ever really wanted to be, was a blue belt, because I got crushed by a blue belt once. It was skinny, like giggling, and I was like, this is unbelievable. But anyway, and then purple belts were killers to me. I'm like, I can do that. Wow, well, let me just hang in there a little bit longer. Be a purple belt. I got my purple belt, and I was like, damn, I'm one of those now. Am I really one of those? And then you would pick off those blue belts. I'm like, shit, those blue belts were beasts, and I'm picking them up, and then I'm looking at the brown belts, and now they've changed their attitude towards me. I was like, damn, this is real. I'm like, let's go hunting. Let's see if I can hang with those browns, you know? So I could hang with those browns, and now I started putting away those browns. Now I'm in the running to be a black belt. I'm like, what? A jiu-jitsu black belt? Under a legend like Eddie? And I've trained with all of these, and all of this has come to this. That means something. And along that journey, I've had to change my life 4 times. Dude, before I got my black belt, we did an interview together. And I was in a very, very dark place. But did you know it?
No, not at all.
Did you sense it?
No.
Okay, well, and my attitude didn't reflect it.
Yeah, I don't think, yeah.
You know why? Martial arts kept me, that stick, you know, kept me strong, so that I could still continue to function, still continue to stay positive and get me through it, because I actually separated from my wife for 49 days. The day out, that was my last day that we had that interview. Flew home the next day, and that weekend I was on my own. You know, It was the most terrifying, the most difficult moment of my whole life. So, I don't even know how I got onto that, but I had to change. And when people come and go, it shows me, the people that are still there, the value of them and the value of those great moments.
The lesson that you learned on this last one, like that change, was it, I mean, is that something you can share? I mean, is it something that you realized about yourself that you were doing that?
I had to let go of silly things. I had to go with the flow a lot more. I had to actually, I had to apply my jiu-jitsu way more than I had been. I hadn't tapped into the jiu-jitsu strategy enough, and it brought it to the apex of my focus, and I had to make some serious changes. I had to accept the things that I brought to the world in a positive way, and look at it positively, not beat myself up about them anymore. Man, I always beat myself up about this stuff, but not anymore. Like I've learned to use it as an advantage now. So there was a massive change.
Beating yourself up like because you're not perfect, or
yeah, exactly. Like,
never be good enough.
I'm Southern Italian.
Yeah,
I've got a temper. You know, the kind of, you know, I'm aggressive in nature. You know, that was tough. But you know, finally I saw the light. You know, I saw how that, you can decide. It's a decision, but it's tough.
Yeah. See, I think that's
one example. You know,
I think that's important for people to know, because I talk about that with me, man. I was like, same thing.
Look at the fighters.
Look
at the fighters.
Yeah.
Like, they're not aggro. Come on, man.
Yeah. And it's a struggle. And
look at athletes.
You got to rewire, like what you said about framing your mind. I tell my wife all the time, like, we just need to rewire my brain. It's like I might have that same thought, telling myself I'm a dumb shit 99 times.
We call them patterns. My wife is she get this. She helped me get back. She helped us get back. She's a Reiki master. She's been a Reiki. She's got some amazing talents and gifts and insight. And we both had to work on certain things. If we were gonna move forward, we had to, both of us, we had to get our shit together. And she helped me enormously. And when we came back, we were more powerful. I said, if we make it back, we're gonna be more powerful than ever. And if you look at our life in the last 12 months, what we've accomplished, I don't know, maybe one day she might be sitting here, you know, talking about her journey through meditation, her Reiki travels. She's a forensic healer. She's done a lot of good work.
That's awesome. My daughter has her. My daughter had her first attunement at 6. Is that what it's called, attunement? Yeah, and my wife also. But yeah, my daughter's energy is crazy. Like, and the guy, my buddy that does it, he's like, man, I've never felt that before. And
yeah,
it was amazing. And I got to feel that. I got to see. I went from being very closed-minded to like, you're not touching me. I was like, what am I going to get from that? I'm not going to get anything from it.
Oh, yeah.
So I've definitely had a shift, and I've had some powerful sessions, but it did take me a little while. It took me a little while. I wasn't as sensitive. You know, the kids are way more sensitive. They have way more energy. Everyone that sees my daughter,
you understood exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, 100%.
With kids, and they're new, right?
Yeah, I know a lot of people think it's crazy talk and whatever.
Look, whatever, man.
Yeah, everyone believe their own thing.
Listen, I'm into proof. I'm into science.
Yeah.
TM meditation is a biomechanical tool. Mm-hmm. It's a step-by-step process. It's not about faith and hope and anything else like that.
Right.
And I'm not saying, you know, that doesn't work, but for me, I'm a practical dude. Look at my whole life. You know, functionality and practicality. That's it. Science. Prove it. You know. Especially being smaller and weaker than most people, like that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, and like I have this analogy. White belt, it's just the house stage. Blue belt, you know, you've grasped fundamentals. Mm-hmm. Purple belt, you understand where your weaknesses are, and you got to go and plug them. You can ignore leg locks as long as you want, but
that's where I'm at.
Once you get to purple, you got to look at it now. Yeah. Like you're forced to. Brown belt is a maturity stage that you've realized. Like look at the first 2 levels, just the how, then the when, realizing your weaknesses, plugging your holes. It's a mature way of looking at the world. So now you're a brown belt, now you're mature. So now all you got to do is just keep doing what got you there. Keep polishing, keep practicing, reps. Just what kind of black belt in life do you want to be? And this is where I am right now in my life, in my marriage, in my home life, as a father, as a martial arts teacher, as a business owner, as an athlete. I'm a black belt, and I am of the opinion that I should be a black belt should be a black belt 24/7. So what I mean by that is, like, okay, let's look at this example I always use: a ballerina. Do you see a ballerina, like a ballerina? I'm not talking about someone that's just in ballet. I'm talking about the #1 ballerina in the company, in the troupe, or whatever, however you describe ballerinas. They don't slouch and eat Cheetos and have to cut weight to fit into their tutu, and they're wrecked. Their feet are wrecked from constant sharpening. They're always in shape. They've always got posture. They think before they speak. They only do things that benefit their performance. They're a ballerina 24/7. So for me, look, I'm not saying I have to be a martial artist that's stiff and I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm always a black belt. If I'm making decisions, then I'm gonna like, whoa, wait. If someone asks me a question, I'm gonna speak about something, and I'm not just hanging with the boys and stuff. I know when I need to straighten up and be that black belt. As soon as Eddie gave me that black belt, it meant everything to me. It was the most magical moment of my entire career, other than the birth of my children. The greatest moment of my entire life, and it was way more profound than any other black belt I've gotten. But in being a black belt in the last 12 months, this is literally July 18 will be 12 months, so I'm about 10 months in. It's made me appreciate all of them more, and looking back and going, no, Frank, it did mean everything to you then. But the road that I took in my jiu-jitsu black belt was way more satisfying, because I could neck them all, but I couldn't always beat them up. I couldn't always beat them all up. And that gave me the power, like that confidence, more than before. So I feel like it meant more. But looking back, because I've gone a little down the road, it meant just as much. But satisfying, dude, being a small dude and rolling with a guy that's a multiple black belt, and you just sweep them past their guard and neck them, and you do it and you tap them like 6-7 times in 8 minutes. And they're running out the door, throwing up in the garden. That's why I have this saying that our garden bed in the front of the dojo's got beautiful Australian natives. They're like always flourishing, and I have to always trim them. They're just going bananas. I go, it's because of the amount of times that guys have run out and thrown up in the garden, you know? Nice. I thought it was funny. I don't know. This is the world in my head.
Yeah. No, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. And it's just kind of cool that it is.
Haven't made sense. I don't know, man. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it's awesome. I learned, and even if
this is good timing.
Even if no one else got something from it, I did. I was like, that's why I'm here.
My kids are watching.
I'm in it for me, man. I like. When I go around, I talk, like I learned from you last time. Like I learned from you this time. So, and every time it's something different. So that's awesome. Now where do like what's your Instagram, or how do people follow you?
On Instagram, it's Frank Barca 10P4L. It's Frank Barca 10th Planet for Life. So you can find me on Twitter, or just write in Frank Barca and you'll find me. You know, these days it's pretty, it'll come up and boom, there I am. Obviously on Facebook, Frank Barca, that's Barca. It's Barca, I'm Italian. And you can find me on 10th Planet JJ Melbourne on Facebook. We've got a Facebook page. Please go and like it if you don't mind. So that's Facebook, Instagram. You know what? I don't even remember my Twitter handle. I don't. But anyway, you'll find me on Twitter.
Linked, yeah.
It's all linked. Oh, it's always linked. Because anything I post on Instagram goes to Facebook and Twitter instantly. Yeah. So you'll find me. Hey, if it means enough, you'll find me. Geez, I found Eddie. I think you can find me online. Jesus Christ.
And find his warm-ups. try the warm-ups. Look them up. Just put 10th Planet warm-ups, A, B, whatever. And
if you punch in 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu warm-ups 2016. There's a file that has all 8 of them. Okay. Copy that link, baby. You're ready to roll. You don't have to worry about nothing.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And thank you, Eddie, for allowing us to do that. By the way, that was awesome.
I don't know. Did I give you Brightside?
No, not Brightside.
Where they
what was that horror book that you said about death and?
I have that one for you too. I have Twisted Reunion for you. Which is like
these can teenagers read
this? You're gonna have to read the first page. It's adult. Like I just had a conversation at LA Times Book Festival. I was talking with parents like what age they let their kids read it. I would say 12, 13, but it's definitely like there's sex, there's violence, there's all kinds of stuff. It's what. All right, so Joe, this guy, his whole life he's been able to hear the thoughts of those around him. The government finds out that people have this ability. They round them all up. They stick them in a beautiful mountain town, but it's a prison, and it's his last day. Like he just can't deal with hearing the thoughts of others. Today we're gonna have chapter 5 on there, but so people, you can either go to my website to get the previous chapters, or we've had them on the last couple episodes. So yeah, hopefully you guys dig it. Chapter 5 of Brightside. Thank you so much to Frank. Awesome, man. Dude, I didn't know if it was gonna happen. I thought you guys were already gone. We went in there yesterday. I was like, I
shocked
cool.
a lot of people this week because they thought I was gone.
Yeah.
Now we're still here for another week. They were like, damn. Yeah, cool.
No, awesome. Thank you so much.
No, and I want to say thank you for allowing me to come on here and do it. I think martial arts is one of those amazing things that has been so profound in my life. And if it wasn't for it, I really don't know where I would be. I'm afraid to think of where I would be, and it's provided such a great support structure for me for my life, and it's brought me in touch with some of the most amazing human beings ever. Guys like yourselves, Eddie, Joe, Joey, just the whole 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu fraternity, the family. Everybody's just so unique and so significant and so able to be themselves and bring their little piece of the pie to it, and everyone can shine, and Eddie provides that platform for us, and I'm so grateful for that. And Eddie, I owe everything to him, what he has done and where he has taken the movement, and I'm just so glad to be a soldier under his guidance, and to represent 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu in my country and in my state is the highest honor for me, and I do it with every ounce of my being, and if you're interested in coming and training in Melbourne, if you're in that area, please come down and train 10th Planet Melbourne. Come check us out. Also, Tito is my top student. We spend a lot of time together. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So please come and check us out. I'm at 190B Sussex Street in North Coburg. We train every single day except Sunday. We've got a great website. Go to 10thplanet.com.au for details and for class structures and for time schedules. Please come down. Even if you're from overseas and you're in town, you want to come and grab a roll, we'd love to have you as our guest. Come down and introduce you to what we do and try and affect you in a positive way and infect you with the 10th Planet virus.
That's cool. No, we'll make it down. We're gonna make it down. I don't know when, but we'll bring the family.
Yeah, 10th Planet for life. No doubt about that. All day.
Awesome.
Chapter 5. Brightside was plastic. It was all just pretend. Everything. The jobs, the town, the council, our freedom to shop. Every detail fabricated so we wouldn't jump off the ledge of this damn mountain. and the plastic rubbed off. It let me pretend Rachel and I were in love, that Michelle had come to rescue me, that I had options. It almost got me killed. Day 8, I showed up to my job and pretended to work. Rachel kept sneaking glances. She was out of my range. The first few times I'd seen her, she wore thick pants, long-sleeve skirts. This time she was in that red leather skirt, her legs smooth and sexy all the way to the slit. I wished I'd never drawn that stupid picture. She said she was going to try out the diner, heard they had good burgers. She asked if I'd like to go. She wanted to pretend this was all just fucking fine. I guess I needed that too, because I said sure. The first few dates were intense. Neither of us had ever been with a thought thief before Brightside. It amplified every quiet moment. No more pretense. No more lying. Even the bad shit felt good, because it was true. Our accelerated relationship let us believe we'd met our soulmates. I didn't even care when I received Michelle's letter, the one telling me how happy she was I'd been taken to Brightside, that I was out of her life. She said she felt raped by our relationship, that I'd lied, stolen every private thought. She wanted me to die a slow, painful death. But to hell with her, I had Rachel, someone who loved me for me. It made me feel worthy. It made me feel better. I did drawings for Danny, promised him one a week. Sometimes I gave him 2. I wasn't a real artist, but Danny liked them. They brightened his day. I'd spent my whole life hurting and disappointing other people, manipulating them. With Danny, I just had to move my pencil. Vertical and horizontal lines flying across the paper. The images took shape, a massive brick wall filling the page, a hawk soaring through the sky. My entire second week in Brightside, I'd sit on the bench sketching, put on my oversized headphones. I knew people laughed. I heard all their silent jokes, but I didn't give a shit. I grabbed the eraser, put a giant hole in the middle of the wall, and then picked up the blue pencil. Brilliant blue skies and a luscious green meadow on the other side of the wall. A pile of broken bricks gathered under the hole. A young boy climbing up it. The boy had a lopsided grin on his face as he grasped the hand of an unseen man reaching through. Freedom. It's not very often I looked at one of my drawings and smiled. They were never that good. But this one was, and Danny loved it. All he needed was a drawing to make him happy. Rachel needed more, especially when she heard me dreaming of Michelle. Day 39, when I couldn't give her the answer because pretending was so fucking exhausting. Then the boots came to take her away. 2 nights later, after my session with Sharon on day 41, I found myself walking. I couldn't sleep. It wasn't as cold as it had been the day I'd burned my 5-year-old face, but cold enough to snuggle into my jacket and zip it up all the way. Cold enough to remind me my low expectations for this place had been way too high. The cabin sat up on the hill, where Rachel was most likely sitting in some catatonic state, wondering why she ever trusted me. I could have visited, but I didn't want to see what I'd done. I shoved both hands in my pockets and went to the railing overlooking the park. I leaned on it, but not too far because the weld looked weak, and 15 feet was only high enough to hurt. Still, it was too high. I stepped back. Brightside spread out before me, our nothing of a town stuck on the side of a mountain. The cemetery was another 200 feet up, 300 yards to the Welcome Center. The town of telepaths was hard at work, my thoughts all my own. The statue of Jonas Stonebrook stood by the pond. Jonas was the founding father of this place. His son William had been branded a thought thief. Some guy shot him in his home. William bled out on his bathroom floor. Jonas was old, angry, thought there was a better way. He sold the land up here for $1, thought he was giving the government a humane option. The statue of the skinny old man with his gray hair and scraggly beard stood stoically by the frozen water, almost like he was lost in thought. I wondered if he regretted creating Brightside. I stayed on the path until I hit the woods, the full and bright moon illuminating the way. I headed for the tallest tree, found the 5 long slashes buried in the bark, Michelle's name scratched out, Rachel's name in her place. I pulled out the knife I'd swiped from the diner, started scratching it out. I don't know why. I suppose I was simply crossing off another woman, another broken heart. Bullshit love. I told myself things could last with Michelle, even if she found out the truth. Then I tried to believe it was even better with Rachel. Always pretending. Making shit up in my head to believe I had a chance, that happiness was possible, even for someone like me. Sharon would say my expectations were the problem, that they were setting me up for failure. Reality can never live up to your imagination. Expectations imply a future, which doesn't exist. There's only the present. The next day, I met Crystal. I was at the deli, and something smacked the tile behind me, made me jump. I spun around and bumped into this amazing ass, grabbed it for balance so neither of us fell. Crystal was bent over, straight-legged, picking up a small box from the floor. I couldn't see her face, but the bright red hair gave Crystal away. That and her ass pointed right at me. Her white bakery coat, so short I could see the tiniest strand of her red thong. I'd seen her a few times, but I always thought she was too intimidating, her arms covered in tattoos, her pierced nipples on full display under that tight shirt. I wasn't thinking about Rachel locked away in the cabin. I also wasn't thinking about work, because I was done for the day. I was only thinking about the present. Crystal's ass. I let go of it and said, "I'm sorry." I left my hand on her hip to help her up. Kept it there because she was nice to touch. Crystal didn't pull away. She backed up into me, gave me a little bump, then turned around. I knew her name, but we'd never been this close. Her eyes so green, I never had a chance. I let myself think every nasty thought. Let her know it didn't bother me she was listening. Crystal was used to guys thinking these things, but they'd never say it out loud. I wasn't either, but thinking it like a roar. In just about the sweetest voice I'd ever heard, Crystal said, "Hi there." Then she stuck out the tip of her tongue, slid it all the way around to wet her smile. "Aren't you different?" "You have no idea." Crystal did the thing with her tongue again, real slow. She was sizing me up, taking in her latest catch. "You doing anything right now?" I shook my head, couldn't believe what was happening, but I was standing right there, letting my thoughts cascade. She loved it. Crystal wanted to fuck me. I couldn't wait to oblige. I pointed at her uniform. "Aren't you working?" "I can do whatever I want." She took off her work coat and headed for the door. "You coming?" My holy shit, this is really happening happiness shattered. Sheila, this nosy bitch from work, stood 4 feet away. She was friends with Rachel. Crystal walked by Sheila, completely ignored her. Crystal wasn't ashamed she hadn't said a word about Charlie, the guy she was dating. I hadn't said a word about Rachel. Sheila looked down at her watch, her long brunette hair hiding her face. She didn't want to see me. She hadn't meant to overhear. She wouldn't tell anyone else, she promised. My new attitude turned Sheila on. Crystal pulled me out the door and paraded me back to her place, neither of us giving a shit what anyone thought. Lodge 2 was the exact duplicate of my building. Walking to work in the morning, I could see right through every window. Crystal's room was halfway down the left side, right in the middle, overlooking the park. Right where she wanted it so everyone could see what she did. I pinned her up against the wall, ripped her underwear off like she said to. We fell on the floor, did things to each other I've never even imagined. I felt nothing but the moment. I used to feel guilt. Women would look at me, their minds giving away their secrets, a map into their pants. I'd take advantage, use their thoughts to get them in bed. They never knew what a dirtbag I was. But Crystal knew, and she fucking loved it. Of course I ruined it. It's what I do. We'd just finished, both of us sweaty, the sheets all bunched up. She thought about the last time she'd done something like this back in Vegas. No holds barred at the green door. I wondered if anyone could count the number of men who'd seen Crystal's tits. How many tourists had stuffed dollar bills into her G-string? Let their hands linger, feel her soft skin. How many men she'd gotten hard, whispered in their ears, telling them every dirty thing they wanted to hear. Crystal rolled over, tugged up her panties. Fuck you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I'm always thinking about everything the wrong way. The answers didn't matter. None of it did. Crystal used what she had to trick men into handing over fistfuls of cash. It wasn't any different than what I did at BMW. Crystal didn't judge me for how I made money. I had no right to question her. But there I was, doing the same shit I always did. Crystal threw my clothes at me. Get the fuck out! With other women, I deluded myself into thinking it was okay to manipulate them. It made up for all the terrible things I had to hear. Crystal felt the same, but she didn't want to listen to my bullshit thoughts. She kicked me out, me hopping around with one pant leg on, trying to slip in the other. Before she slammed the door, I looked at Crystal. Really looked at her. Crystal was her hair. Torch crimson. Fire red. Crystal was her clothes. Bakery jacket a size too small. No bra underneath. Her sweatshirt couture, proving she was worth every penny. Crystal was her face. Beautiful, molded, injected. Crystal was Mom. That's what I thought about as I hopped out of the building. The way Mom loved to go to church and shake her ass for all the lonely men. Just like Crystal. I was 5. 2 days after I'd been lost in the snow, my cheeks burnt and basted with butter. Mom took me to church wearing her tightest red dress, the one that pushed her boobs up, the thin black bra straps peeking out from the shoulders. Dad never went to church with us. "No, I think I'm going to pass," he'd say. "Maybe I'll go later." But he never went anywhere with large groups. I didn't understand why. Mom opened the church door super slow, loving the loud creak that made almost everyone turn around and look, especially the men. All I wanted was to not be noticed, embarrassed of my cheeks. Not Mom. She wasn't there to blend. She was there to be coveted, so she got her hips swinging back and forth even further. Teenage boys sat up straighter. Men pretended they were looking at the sorry little kid behind her. Women shook their heads. When we got to the third row, Mom did something with her hand. touching her face once, her chest 3 times. The row was full. No one moved. They just pretended they didn't see Mom standing there in her blood of Christ red dress, the black beneath. Mom squeezed in and pulled me in beside her, my shoulder rubbing her arm. The closest we'd been in a while. The bench was harder than anything I'd sat on. The reason I thought so many people were on their knees. Mom saw me looking at the exit and pointed down by my feet. She whispered, "Pray for your sins." I got down, glad to be further away from her perfume and thoughts. But I heard the others. All the scary shit they were thinking. I heard them pray for the dying and the dead, for a piece of my mom's ass, for forgiveness of sins, for winning the damn lottery, swearing they'd donate some. Some guys were thinking about sex or their fantasy football teams. A teenager thought I was lucky I got to suck on Mom's tits. I blocked the voices by doing my own thinking, wondering what a sin was. Figuring I probably had a bunch of them, way more than my share. I wasn't sure how to pray, but I guessed it was like wishing. Just another thing that wouldn't come true. Mom said that was enough and pulled me back towards the people behind me. All their thoughts filling my head, making me want to smash it. I pressed my hands to my eyes to help quiet the voices, especially Mom, who was thinking about the man in front of us, the one with 2 kids but no wife. My cheeks still stung when she pushed on them. Mom hit my arm. I put my hands back on my lap and there were huge flakes of skin sticking to my fingers. I rubbed my hands on my pants and then touched my face to see if there was more. Every time my hand came down, more pieces came with it, each one bigger than the ones before. My cheeks were shedding skin. I prayed my whole body would do that, just rub away the whole thing. I kept trying until Mom saw the mess covering my pants. She grabbed my hand, jerked it away from my face, and squeezed it hard. She looked right at me, the big patches under each eye. "I can't take you anywhere," she said. "I'm sorry." Mom didn't hear me. She was too busy pushing me out of the pew, saying excuses for me as we stormed out. Some people thinking what a terrible mother dragging her diseased son. When I stepped out onto the square, I kept thinking about Mom, Crystal, their tits and asses. That's what I was thinking when I almost bumped into Wayne King. His eyes smiling above all that beard, spilling over his orange jumpsuit. "Mommy and your girlfriend. Fucking nice." Wayne leaned on his snow shovel, his eyes never leaving me. Not even when the guard took notice. Started walking past the dozen other people in jumpsuits. The people who'd snapped long before Brightside. They'd killed people, robbed banks, tortured. Everyone's thoughts infected their brains, turned them into savages. Most Brightsiders cheated. They scammed, got women into the sack, drained a guy's life savings. Some just use it to win at charades. Nothing violent. Not like the ones in Orange. The only people here kept behind bars, allowed to work outside if they were good. Normal prisons couldn't hold them. They always found a way out. Wayne knew the Brightside guard was coming, already telling him to get back to work. At just 4 feet away, I heard Wayne's thoughts loud and clear. That I looked like his favorite victim, the one he gutted real good and scooped out the insides, turned the belly into his outhouse, the one he filled up, then left for the bears. The victim had looked at him wrong. Thought he needed a bath. That's the kind of sick fuck Wayne was. Wayne said, "We should find some time to talk more about your mom." The guard ran up. "We got a problem, King?" "Not a problem at all, sir." Wayne went back to shoveling snow. He whistled to the image of my mom and Crystal's naked bodies rolling around the bed. I tried not to run back to my place. Tried to get Wayne's sick thoughts out of my head. Everything was spinning. My head, my stomach. I couldn't breathe. I'd heard enough twisted shit in my life to fill a canyon. People weren't as innocent as we were led to believe. They think about horrifying acts. But they're just thoughts, fleeting desires. Wayne King followed through. That image of Mom and Crystal knocking around in my brain. I'd never thought of Mom that way. Other men had. So many others. Did I crave that attention? Is that why I chose the women I did? My thoughts were interrupted by the strangest thing. A present at my door. A medium box wrapped so poorly I assumed it was from Danny. Then I noticed it had been opened and re-wrapped. Brightside inspected every gift from the outside. This was from my dad.